Hi everyone! So today I'm going to be talking about my tips for selling on Depop. In a couple of videos ago, I asked you guys if you had any specific questions related to this. So I'm going to be answering a few of those questions along with tons of other tips that I have for selling on Depop. And I've been selling on Depop for about a year and a half now, so I feel like I, have the experience and I kind of know the ins and outs of Depop and like what helps things sell. And I know there's like a ton of videos out there of other people talking about how to sell on Depop. Like, I've definitely watched my fair share, and honestly, like, they're always the same. They're always like, make sure you take really good photos, like make sure the lighting's good, like follow the trends. So in this video, I'm going to kind of tell you things that nobody really talks about, and I'm actually going to tell you to kind of like go against the grain a little bit. So I received this question a while ago, and the person said, do you have any tips on selling items on Depop? I recently posted a tennis skirt I found at the thrift store and thought it would be a really sought after item, but no one's been interested so far. Maybe I'm not reaching the right audience. So this is an awesome question because I have 100% been there before, where I had an item and I was like, oh my god, this is so trendy, this is perfect, like this is gonna sell so fast on Depop, and then it just like never sold or took a really long time to sell. And what I've come to realize over like a year and a bit is that it's gonna be really hard to sell these like super trendy items like the tennis skirt she was talking about. We all know that was a huge trend like this past summer, still is. It's gonna be really hard to sell that when if you do a quick search on Depop and type in tennis skirts, there are literally like hundreds and hundreds of them. So you kind of have to think about like, how are you going to compete against all these people? Like, what is going to make your item stand out against all of these? Maybe it has like a cool detail to it, maybe it's a cool brand like American Apparel, or maybe you were able to thrift it for very cheap, and so you're able to sell it very cheap, and when someone sees all the tennis skirts, they might be more inclined to buy the cheaper one. So that might be the reason why you are not selling items that you think you're able to sell. So yes, you do have to follow the trends to a certain extent, but I think what's way more important is finding pieces that are like super unique, and there's not that many out there on Depop. So for example, what I like to do when I'm at the thrift store and I see something that I think like might potentially be good on Depop is I'll just actually do a quick search on Depop to see if people are actually already selling this item, how many are already there, what people are selling them for, that sort of thing. So for example, in one of my past thrifting videos, I actually found these like Fila Disruptor shoes, and I was thinking of buying them, but then when I searched on Depop, there were already so many other people selling the exact kind of shoe, and that's why I decided like not to pick it up, because it's going to be so hard to compete against all these other people essentially. And I also came to this realization when, my trendy pieces weren't selling, but I was posting things on Depop where I was like, oh, I don't think this is gonna sell, but might as well throw it up there and like see what happens. And they ended up selling. And the reason is because these pieces are more unique. Like, the more unique they are, the less competition you're gonna have, and the more likely someone's gonna buy yours over someone else who's selling something similar. So an example of that would be this Australia hoodie that I reworked, and I talked about this in another video. I didn't think that I was gonna be able to sell that, and it sold very quickly, and the reason is because it was a unique one-of-kind piece. Like, there's no one else out there selling that, and therefore I didn't have any other competition. So yes, follow the trends, but still make sure the pieces you're finding are unique enough that you're going to be able to sell them. And especially with this new Depop algorithm, which I already made a video about, so you can go watch that if you want. That's what they're pushing for. That's what they're going to be promoting more, is unique items, because that's what Depop is. That's what they're trying to make themselves look like, is this really cool platform that's selling these really cool vintage, like, unique items. That's basically my tip on what items you should be looking for to sell. So my next tip for selling on Depop is to actually sell on Poshmark as well. Selling all of your items on 2 different platforms just gives you a way bigger audience, and it's just gonna like make you way more likely to sell things. And Depop and Poshmark are both kind of like good for different things, so that way if you sell on both platforms, you are like kind of reaching like both of those audiences. Like, like Depop has more like vintage, unique stuff, and then Poshmark is more brand name stuff. So ever since I added all of my inventory to Poshmark as well, I have definitely noticed that that has really helped me make more sales. So my next tip is going to be that a lot of people may probably already know this, but I would say repost your items daily. So if you don't know what reposting is, it's when you go to your item, you click edit and post. what this does is kind of refreshes the item. So before, with the old Depop algorithm, if you refreshed your post, it would actually go to the top of the search. But unfortunately now with the new Depop algorithm, that's not exactly how it works anymore. They prioritize, you know, better sellers and, you know, the better item rather than what has most recently been posted on Depop. But with that being said, I do find that reposting your items still does definitely help your items be seen more. It doesn't bring them back to the top, but I think it does move them up a little bit in that line, I guess you could say, because I've noticed that every time I do repost, I can see right away that I am getting likes directly from reposting. Definitely not as much as before with the old algorithm, but it still does make a difference. So I do think it's important to be reposting your items, and I would say to try to do this daily, because honestly the more you do it, the more exposure you're going to get to other people, the more likely someone's going to buy something. And with that being said, I do the same thing on Poshmark. Poshmark actually still has like the regular algorithm where the most recent posts are seen at the top of the search engine, so that definitely helps a lot. So yeah, I would say repost your items daily because you will see a difference. So another tip I wanted to say is don't undervalue your items. I know, especially in the beginning, I did this too. I thought, you know, if I sell it for really cheap, then like it'll be more likely that people will buy it. And like this is great if you're trying to just kind of get rid of stuff, but if you actually want to make money, it's really hard to make a good profit margin when you're selling for so cheap. So I would always say to price your stuff a little bit higher than you would actually think. That way, you know, people can always send you an offer, you can always negotiate the price, but I think you'd be surprised that you think your items are actually more valuable than you think. So this next tip is more of a tip for Poshmark because Depop doesn't have this feature, but if you don't know, on Poshmark, you can actually send offers to likers. So anyone that has liked your item, you can click send offer and choose what kind of offer you want to do. So I usually do like 10% plus $9.99 shipping. And I find that actually makes a huge difference. That has definitely directly affected my sales. Yeah, you know, just send people an offer they can't refuse. And that's also a really good way if you're just trying to clear out some items, just like, you know, go ahead, send a bunch of offers, and I find that actually works really well for making a sale. So my next tip, I'm going to be talking about like sourcing your items and like where you should get them from, how much you should pay for them, that kind of thing. So first off, I want to say that you want to have a lot of listings. Like, it's just probability, it's just math. The more listings you have, the more likely someone's going to buy one of those things, you know? So I would say try to have a lot of items. I think right now in my shop I have like over 100 items, which is pretty good. And I'm not saying go to the thrift store and just buy a bunch of stuff to fill your stock. I think that's a really bad idea actually, especially if you're just starting off. I would go into your own closet, try to sell some of your own stuff first, especially when you're just starting off, you're just learning how Depop works and like how much you need to sell things for in order to make money. That's a really good way to start off. You can also go to your friends and family and say, hey, do you have any clothes that we're about to donate? Like, give them to me instead. I'll try to sell them. Like, there's a lot of ways that you can get clothes for free in that way. And this is just gonna help you bulk up your inventory and just have more options for people when they're looking on your shop. So with that being said, I would highly encourage you to kind of like get creative with how you find your inventory, because we all know the thrift store, especially in Canada, Value Village, it's very expensive. It is really hard to make a profit when you're spending, you know, $10 already on an item. So I would say get creative in how you're sourcing your items. So like I just mentioned, ask your friends and family if they have anything they want to donate to you. You can even make a deal. Like, I've done this before where I told one of my friends, like, hey, if you give me some of your clothes, I'll give you 50% of the profits. That way you are probably making less money in the end, but you're not having like a risk at all because you're not paying for that item right away. You're only paying for it after it's been sold technically. Or for example, I went to the pay by the pound store in one of my other videos. I know not everyone has that option, but if you do, that's a really, really great way to source items for cheap. And if you are sourcing items from thrift stores like Value Village, you have to really think about the price before you're buying something. Like, how much are you going to end up selling that for? Are you actually going to be able to make a decent profit? Like, is it even going to be worth selling that item at the end of the day? Like, really think about stuff before you buy it, because it's so easy to just, you know, I've done it before too, just like see something and think, oh yeah, that's going to sell, snatch it up, and then it's just sitting in your closet for months and months. So that is my tip. Get creative. Try to make your upfront costs for the item as small as possible, or even free, which are always my favorite things to sell, things that I got for free. So my next tip is going to be to keep track and do your accounting. If you're not keeping track of every sale and, you know, calculating everything and subtracting your costs versus your profits. So yeah, that is extremely important. Like, I've had comments from people saying they've never like done their accounting before, and like that's just like so crazy to me. I mean, if you're just like selling your clothes to get rid of them, then like I guess it doesn't really matter. But if you're actually like trying to run a business, trying to make money, you have to do your accounting, especially because there's a lot of fees that are kind of hidden and hard to keep track of, like the Depop and the PayPal fee, for example, shipping, the cost of your item. All of these things add up and are going to take away from the money that is being sent to you on Depop. And I want to say too, like, don't get discouraged. It's very easy to go to someone's page and see like they've sold all of these things, or watched people's YouTube videos where they're like, oh, I made $1,000 in a month. But just because you're selling things, it doesn't mean you're actually making money. Sure, you can sell like $1,000 worth of stuff on Depop, but after all of your costs, how much money are you really making? Like, that's what's actually important. Like, who knows, the stuff that you see people sell on Depop, you don't know how much they actually like paid for the item, so you really don't know how much money that like anyone is making. So yeah, don't get discouraged by seeing other people's like stuff. Just try to focus on your own shop and what you can do for yourself and not worry too much about others, I guess. So I got another comment asking if I could talk about the Canada Post small business account. So just a few tips for having that. If you have a Depop, 100% sign up for the small business account. It's free. You don't even have to have a registered business link to it. You're gonna get discounts on shipping. It's not a huge discount, but you're gonna start getting discounts on shipping right away. So definitely sign up for a small business account with Canada Post. My other tip for that would be watch out for promotions. Like, for example, in October they were doing promotions every Tuesday. You could get one item shipped for free. So keep an eye out for those kind of things. Also, a pro tip too, when you are selecting whether or not you want regular or expedited shipping, I would just like toggle back and forth on those two, because sometimes the price is actually the same, so you are able to ship the item to the customer faster for the same price. This doesn't necessarily like save you money, but it is something to look out for, because that's just gonna like make the customer happier if they are able to get their package quicker, and then therefore they might leave you a nice review, which will help increase your sales in the future. Another really cool thing about the Canada Post small business account, which I didn't know about for the longest time, but you can actually get these like shipping label holder stickers things for free, 100% for free. All you have to do is go to the website and like find them, and they will ship them to your house for free. And this has just saved me time, like cutting out and taping the labels down, and it's honestly just saved me like a ton of tape, because I used to tape all of my labels to the packages. Now all I have to do is slip one of them inside and it just like seals itself to the package, and it makes everything way easier. And I think what my last tip is going to be is about packaging. Now, when I first started, I didn't really care about packaging at all. I would just kind of like throw it in my little envelopes and send it on its way. But I've realized like how important nice packaging is, and it doesn't have to be fancy by any means, but if you take your packaging just to the next step, it honestly makes a huge difference. So for me, I like to put stickers on the outside of my packages. I get them from the dollar store for like $1, and people love it. People like, I've had multiple comments saying how cute the packaging is. I've also recently started putting a lollipop in each of my Depop orders, and people love it. Like, I mean, same with me. If I ever, like, whenever I get a package and, you know, it's decorated nicely or has like a little extra special thing in there that you weren't expecting, like, it makes you feel special, and like it just makes it more fun. Customers really appreciate this, and that is actually gonna make them more likely to leave you a really nice review, which in the end is gonna help you sell more, because, you know, the more reviews you have, the better the reviews. People are gonna see that on your page, and they're gonna be more likely to buy your items, obviously. And yeah, it honestly just makes packaging like more fun. Like, I love decorating them, and you know, I think they just look really cute. It's just fun. So that is all of the tips that I have. The sun is setting, so I need to end this, but definitely leave me a comment if I missed anything, if there's anything you want me to touch upon that's more specific. I always love answering comments and helping people. And I also just want to say, if you're a Canadian Depopper, honestly, shout out to you, because doing Depop in Canada is honestly so much harder than the US, because everything is more expensive. Thrift stores are more expensive, shipping is more expensive, and therefore it just like makes it so much harder to sell things because people have to pay more. And honestly, I don't know about you, but whenever I go to the explore page on Depop, I never see any Canadians. So I don't know why Depop's not promoting Canadian sellers, but yeah. So yeah, shout out to my fellow Canadian Depoppers, because like it's way harder. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.